When I think about the way people so carelessly label others with mental illness, how do we find happiness when that careless label is placed upon us? And yet, in spite of them, we do it. Where does that come from? And what's so powerful about seeing us blossom and create our niches in spite of people thinking we cannot succeed? And I just feel like that's beautiful. I feel like there's grace in that. I feel like there's sunshine in that. And I think it's all because of those things. So for me, the positivity is really about strength against all odds.
Name some of the negative labels that you hear from people that struggle with mental illness.
Some of the things that come to mind: crazy,
scary,
unstable,
labels around fear or loneliness,
violent,
dangerous,
angry,
possessed,
sad.
Those are some of the big ones that I've heard over my several decades on this planet.
You know, people can put a label on some form of mental illness, and whether it's ADD or whether it's depression or whether it's bipolar or whatever it may be, I think every one of us has a level of that in our lives. It's just some of us maybe have more of that than others.
All of my students, on some level, are working through some type of mental illness. If it's about the levels of stress in their homes or their occupations, anxieties that they're experiencing and depression that they're experiencing, heartache, all of these social pressures are creating mental illness.
You know, if I've done a few presentations in my day, you know, for different subjects, and 50 people could walk up to me and say, "Man, that was an awesome presentation, man, you were amazing, changed my life." One person could walk up and say, "Man, your shoes didn't match your jacket." I'd never leave my house again, you know. That's when I started to realize that these criticisms aren't for me to shrivel away from. They're for me to learn from, you know. Shut that one off, you know, and learn from the rest, you know. And I still have a hard time with it, but, you know, it's a little better.
Mental illness is a very big thing in my life, you know. I haven't let it, I mean, it may have traumatized me, but it hasn't brought me down, though, totally.
I have one sister that will not speak to me because I have a mental illness. And that's been really hard, just because they don't understand that I think differently and see things differently than they do.
Just in March, I lost a very close friend after some challenges in his life, and he took his life. And I was working with him really closely, and I thought I was helping him. I didn't pick up on the signs that were there.
I've been diagnosed over my life with chronic low-level depression, and sometimes it's just not feeling great about the day, to sometimes it's I don't want to get out of bed. So finding things that pick me up is a constant search.
I feel like I'm kind of lucky because, you know, when I've experienced mental issues or behavioral issues in the past, it's been short run, you know, a couple days or maybe a week or even, you know, a season. But then I'm able to come out of it.
I remember it was about a year ago. I was sitting on a bench just watching the sun and the shadows play on the cement from the trees and whatnot. And I'm like, that is really beautiful. It's like a dance between sunlight and shadow. And then I'm thinking in my head, like, most people don't stop and see that.
I like the way you said that too. It's like a dance between the wind and the sun, I think.
The shadow and sun.
The shadow and the sun.
Yeah.
I like that. You know, I think about my experience growing up and, you know, going to high school and coming out of the closet and struggling with my own identity and my place in the world. That I've had various moments of struggle and emotional instability. And over the years, I've found that one way for me to manage that is outdoor recreation, getting outside, being in nature. Sometimes it's just being alone and away from other people that actually does the trick. It brings my energy down and it helps me understand my place in the universe a little bit more clearly. And it may not fix the mental issues that I'm going through, but it does help me have a better understanding of my thought process. And have you found any resources
Like I go to different record shops.
You're a crate digger. You love to dig through those crates of records and find those treasures.
Absolutely.
What music do you like? What do you like to listen to?
Music.
Just anything.
Anything.
Really?
It could be rock, it could be blues, it could be jazz. As long as it plays good and it sounds good and I approve of it, then it's good for me, you know.
Yeah.
I love photography. It's just a way to let my creative side out.
Yeah, I think having a creative outlet is probably one of the most important things in life.
So my piece is titled Stronger Than What You See. It portrays self-harming, and it goes from just when they're sad and negative and depressed, and what it can be to where they use their scars as strength and courage. I'll be walking around somewhere and someone will see my self-harm scars on my arm, and strangers grab my arm. I hope you don't do this anymore. It's like, oh, how could you do that?
Yeah.
And for me, these are my battle scars. They show how strong I had to be in my darkest times.
Thinking of it as a battle scar
Yeah.
and something you're almost like proud of, like I survived
Yeah.
this and I'm proud of myself. And so, yeah, I think that's a good attitude and a good way to think about that and process that, yeah.
Thank you.
You know, write a story about it, to do a photography piece about it, and kind of get that out, you know, get it out of your system, communicate those feelings. And that's just a much more positive way to confront those feelings, and how you process it is, it can be a really positive thing, you know, if you're able to do that through a creative sort of outlet.
And the beauty of working at a radio station is music. But music in my life has also fueled sometimes my depression, because it depends on what song you pick, right?
For me, I graduated from Cordon Bleu cooking school, and with my mental illness, with my PTSD and my bipolar, it's hard for me to actually get a job out there in the community with cooking. It's like nobody will touch me because of that, and it's really hard to do something.
What happens when you cook? What
I
for
come
you,
alive.
what does it do?
I literally come alive when I cook. It's almost like a spiritual rebirth when I'm cooking too. So
I have a rather unique way to deal with my stress and to meditate. I do sword work.
I think that's awesome. I love swords too, actually. And I took some katana classes and some Japanese sword fighting classes and stuff like that. It didn't last that long, just because of most of my schedule, but I love doing it. And I also collect swords too, so I love that.
It's really cool for me because I have to focus on every part of my body when I'm doing this, from head to toe. I mean, the direction my toes are pointing, you know, are my heels lined up right? Are my knees bent perfectly? You know, are my hips, you know, situated right so my whole, you know, center is right? You know, and after 15 or 20 minutes of it, I'm so insanely tired. I'm too exhausted to be upset, and I'm too exhausted to be happy. So I just go upstairs and lay down and take a nap.
Well, I volunteer actually at Tracy Aviary.
Oh, fun.
And what I do is I talk about people about the birds. To me, it's a very relaxing atmosphere out in nature, and you just get to talk to people. And you know, I especially like it when you get the kids that are really interested, and you can explain different things to them.
When I come here, I feel like we're all meant to feel normal. And sometimes when we step out of this space, we're meant to feel like we're not normal. And so coming here feels like a great equalizer, where we're trying to connect and get rid of the stigma and just allow us to flourish and function the ways that we want to. And that's one of the treasures for me about a place like Alliance House.
Yeah, we've really had an interesting time chatting about some of these things and what mental health is, and you know, how people protect their own mental health. So what would some of your positive labels be?
Well, I think mental health challenges that people experience actually build empathy.
We spend so much time thinking about the negative stigmas. But in reality, I think the positive part is that our mental illness is a part of being a human being. So it's a part of our human experience, and that's really positive to me, that we are not hiding it, and that it's a part of our lived lives,
Understanding.
Strength.
I think I need one more positive, which would be amazing, because the things that make us different make us amazing. So that's would be my labels.